Did Degrassi say that physical illness is more important than mental illness? I guess I can see how one could read that from the way Grace seemed to just abandon Maya in her time of need, but there's a lot more going on than that. For one thing, Maya didn't really reach out to anyone or tell anyone about how she was feeling or the lack of feeling that she was experiencing. And that really goes a long way to getting help, because from the outside, people might not notice that there's something going on. It's not for teenagers being teenagers or people being full of themselves. Most people don't know what's going on in your head, just like Esme said in the very last episode. There's a common thread throughout a lot of stories about suicide where family members and friends will say that they had no idea it was that bad. And it's not because those people are bad or ignorant, it's just those signs can go easily unnoticed, especially if the person dealing with depression or the mental issue aren't around other people much. Really, from the outside, it looked like Maya was going through a thing like she tends to do. Drama does seem to follow her, and we've seen many seasons of her kind of act out or be different. Sure, not to this extent, but it could be easily misinterpreted and lumped into usual Maya. And to be fair, Grace knew something was going on, but she didn't know what. And even still, Maya didn't let Grace in. Grace kept trying to meet up with her, be in school together with her, but Maya wasn't around. She was always off doing something else, or she didn't feel like it. She even started skipping classes. Maya was basically cutting everyone out of her life and sort of fading away. And again, from the outside, that can look like just gaining different interests or not wanting to do the same things that you did before, which do happen as people grow and change with new experiences. So long before Grace blocks Maya as a number, there's a bit of a history of Maya sort of shutting Grace out. We see in the same episode where Grace and Jonah find out about Maya's pictures, Grace reaching out, asking Maya, "Where are you? Why aren't you in class?" And Maya had obviously promised to be there, but again, just wasn't. And that really hurt Grace, because Grace needed Maya to talk about what was going on. She needed her best friend to be there for her while she's having to explore the possibility of a transplant, basically deciding, do I want to wait 3 years to die or do I want to wait 10 years to die? Already it's feeling to Grace like Maya's abandoning her. It's the exact same thing that Grace was worried about happening once people found out about her illness. It seems that Maya is kind of tired of being around the sick girl and is just moving on, especially in the way that Maya is just fading out. There's no definitive, yeah, I don't want to be around you anymore. It seems that she's just sort of non-confrontationally cutting Grace out of her life. And we as the audience know that's not the case. But Grace doesn't. And she can't realize that until she finds out the extent of what's going on with Maya. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen until Maya tries to kill herself. It's important also to remember the scene where Grace finds out about Maya's photo shoots. Again, even though we as the audience know that Maya isn't trying to hurt Grace, it still feels that way, especially with how Maya is viewing death as something beautiful. Maya seems to see it as something not to get worked up about, as something sort of to be desired, as some sort of escape or a sort of freedom, and that there can be beauty in it. Whereas Grace, death has been a sort of specter throughout her whole life, just knowing that she's going to die before her friends. And now especially, death being right around the corner and having to grapple with the fact that she could either live for another 3 years or maybe live another 10 or maybe not even get that much if she goes for the operation and her body rejects the new lungs. And then on top of that, what is the use of living if she doesn't have much more time either way? Why try to build some sort of life and basically watch her friends go and live a normal life while she's just here dying? And to see Maya not understand what her words are saying to Grace, but also Maya suddenly taking an interest in how Grace is doing physically after ignoring her for most of the semester, that really hurt for Grace. All of her feelings of betrayal and abandonment are coming to a head in this situation. And then even after, Maya didn't talk to Grace about what happened. Instead, she sent the pictures to Grace over text. There was no face-to-face discussion like Grace has wanted all semester. And that seemed to be a sign that Maya wasn't really into the relationship. She didn't actually want to put in the work to be best friends, so why should she keep someone toxic around her then? It's important to note that I'm not blaming Maya. She didn't really understand what her actions were doing until it was far too late. And of course, hindsight is 20/20, but a lot of that misguided judgment was the depression. Depression really changes how your brain works and the thoughts you have. And unfortunately, it clouds your judgment in these sort of situations. Maybe if Grace knew the extent of what was going on with Maya, she would have acted differently. Actually, she probably would have. But she didn't. Because like a lot of people with depression, Maya wasn't open about it. She didn't talk to her friends about her lack of feeling things, or how she just didn't have an interest in anything she used to do. So, did Degrassi say that physical illness is more important than mental illness? No, they didn't even comment on that. What they showed was a friendship falling apart because of lack of communication and how mental illness affects people. If you're looking for them, you might see the signs of mental illness, but sometimes you might not. But a person having depression isn't less important as someone having a chronic illness. Actually, throughout the season, Degrassi treated both illnesses with the same severity and importance. Sure, Maya's depression got more episodes, but that was just because there was more story to tell with it at the moment. Grace's CF was more a longer, overarching type thing. Depression can have a much longer spiral down, but in Maya's case, it didn't. It's important to also note that Grace and Jonah weren't abandoning Maya or dropping her because she couldn't finish the lyrics for the musical. They saw that Maya, for whatever reason or whatever was going on in her life, couldn't really produce the lyrics, so they had someone else do it. It's not like they weren't going to be friends with her anymore. They still fully intended on being friends with Maya. They needed the lyrics done in a set amount of time, and it seemed that Maya just wasn't going to finish them. She kept putting them off, saying that she'll get it done, she'll do it later. But from Grace's and Jonah's perspective, it didn't seem like she was ever going to finish them, or if she did, it'd be after the deadline. And that's an important distinction from dropping her just because she couldn't get the work done. They didn't drop her as a friend, they just dropped her as a lyricist out of necessity. There's a lot of threads with this whole situation, and you need to look at all the pieces in order to fully understand the tapestry in front of you. Degrassi isn't saying that mental health has to come second or should come second to physical illness. If anything, they showed two people grappling with death and illnesses in different ways, and how depression can ruin friendships if left untreated. As always, thank you so much for consuming my videos, and until next time.